good.
Should be good.
Ready. You're ready.
Okay, good. All right, well, let's have a quick prayer before we get started again. Dear Father in heaven, I thank you for your goodness, your mercy. And when I ask your continued blessing and presence, that you would speak through me to be a blessing to your children, I thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. This is one of my favorite things to use. I like DMSO. How many of you have used DMSO? Just a couple of you. Okay. How many of you are afraid to use DMSO? You don't even know what DMSO is. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. DMSO stands for dimethyl sulfoxide. DMSO is actually a solvent, but so is water. Okay. We're not afraid of water just because it's a solvent. And neither should we be afraid of DMSO because it's a solvent, because it has very good medicinal effects in the body. It's a very good anti-inflammatory. It's an analgesic. It helps with pain. It's a very powerful antioxidant, and it helps to regulate the immune system. The only problem is when I want to take it internally, my husband threatens to make me sleep externally because it makes you smell like a garlic factory. Now, he says it's worse than a garlic factory. So that is probably the main reason that DMSO is not more widely used as a remedy, is because of the way it makes you smell. But there's a way around that, and I'll tell you that today. So a little history. DMSO was discovered in 1866 by this Russian scientist named Alexander Zaitsev. I'm not sure I can get all those letters in there just right. It's kind of like trying to say Gelsellchen. So, and then it was promoted, and if you go to, I think it's on Rumble, there's a 60-minute piece on Dr. Stanley Jacobs and his use of DMSO back in the 60s. People were flying from all over to Oregon for him to treat them with DMSO. He would just paint DMSO on them, and it would take away their pain. And they were paying all this money to fly up there when they could have gone to the feed store and bought some DMSO and used it at home themselves. So my mission is to help people to understand some of these simple treatments that they can do a lot cheaper than flying across the country. Pardon? Because we use it on horses as a horse liniment. Yeah, all kind of critters. We use it as a horse liniment. I remember even my grandpa used it, and I'll give you a little more of the history in just a minute. But it's very high in sulfur, so it does have that oyster, garlicky, oniony kind of smell, and that's where the odor comes from. It's actually a byproduct of the paper making industry, and it was originally manufactured by, I think it's on the next slide, Crown Zellerbach in Bogalusa, Bogalusa, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes from where my mother was born and grew up. And I remember as a kid visiting my grandparents, you could smell that paper mill. And so they were for a long time the primary producer. I don't know if that has changed now, if it's being produced in other places now. But DMSO is actually tree antifreeze. God gave the trees DMSO to prevent their cell tissues from freezing in the colder months. And because of that property, I'll save it because I've got another slide that shows an interesting human use of it because of this property. It also helps the tree cells to maintain their structure, and it can do the same thing for us. So in the 50s, Crown Zellerbach, which is that paper mill that was in Bogalusa, Louisiana, they began producing DMSO. Where's my reader? Read this.
In the 1950s, Crown Zellerbach
a large American paper manufacturing company, began producing DMSO and soon became the world's largest producer. Curious if uses existed for DMSO besides being a highly effective solvent, Zellerbach's assigned chemist Robert J. Herschler to research it and other tree-derived chemicals. Through a lab accident, he discovered that DMSO mixed with a dye would bring the dye into the skin, and before long verified it could be used to bring antibiotics and antifungals into plants.
So whatever you mix with DMSO, when you put DMSO on your skin, is going inside. It's actually, and I'll show you on another slide as we go on, it's actually as effective as getting an IV. So whatever you mix with it, you can administer to the body as quickly as getting an IV. There's over 30,000 verified uses in PubMed, but there's only a few that are approved by the FDA. And one of the main uses is for interstitial cystitis, which is a bladder condition mostly in women. Yeah, and you can actually inject the DMSO directly into the bladder, or you can take it by mouth as well. I believe that another form of DMSO that we're going to talk about tonight and that we have available on our store can also help with this. So the other use of DMSO is for organ transplants. You know, they have to chill those things when they take it out of the deceased to take to the person that needs the transplant. And in order to keep the ice or whatever cooling agent they have from damaging the tissues, they use DMSO on the tissues. It's that non-toxic to keep those tissues from freezing. The people that have researched DMSO have said they don't really understand its therapeutic effect, so they put it in its own category. It's like a new therapeutic function or principle. And so DMSO is kind of in a category all by itself. You can blend it both with water and with oil, and you'll notice, and we'll demonstrate in just a minute, and we'll let you put your hand on the bottle when we reconstitute it. My husband has the distilled water here. When you mix DMSO and that needs the lid put on it. When you mix DMSO, it heats up. There's a heating reaction, and you can feel that heat. So you really need to kind of let that pass before you use that. Had a lady one time that was using DMSO for a severe case of bacterial vaginosis. She mixed it and immediately injected it internally, and it was like on fire, yeah, because she didn't wait for that reaction to settle. So lesson learned, right? So wait for that reaction to settle. It can be sensitive. Some people, their skin can be sensitive to it. So a way around that is we put a little thin layer of some type of oil on the skin first. Not everybody is sensitive. So the molecule of DMSO is so small that it can easily go straight into the cell, which is a really good thing if you want to deliver stuff straight into the cell. And that's why I was saying earlier during the thiamine talk, I would like to experiment and mix DMSO and thiamine together and see if I can augment that effect. I'll practice on myself and my other guinea pig. He's a very good guinea pig. So whatever you mix DMSO with, it potentiates that stuff. And what does that mean? It means that it makes it it makes it more potent, stronger. So you have to be careful. Don't take DMSO at the same time as medications or something, because it's going to potentiate that. Okay, my reader can read this from the DMSO Healing Encyclopedia, which is very difficult to find now online. Everything is getting buried. It's much harder to find this stuff now. Go ahead.
The compound's small molecular size and polar, yet lipophil, fat-loving nature allow it to easily penetrate the skin and other cellular membranes. This characteristic is not merely a passive quality, but actively facilitates the transport of other drugs or therapeutic molecules across biological barriers. This property is leveraged in transdermal drug delivery systems where DMSO acts as a carrier, enhancing the absorption of active ingredients through the skin into systemic circulation.
Okay, so what this is saying basically is whatever you mix with DMSO is going straight in. So you have to make sure that your skin is clean before. Don't have perfumes, don't have any gas on your hands, don't have any glyphosate on your hands or any other chemical or anything like that whenever you give yourself DMSO or put it on your skin anywhere, because whatever that is going in. So before we start allowing people to sample this, we're going to ask you to go wash your hands, okay? Because we don't want anybody getting makeup or anything else taken in. Okay, what is the difference? Has anybody heard of MSM? Nobody? You don't count. MSM and DMSO are very similar. And I was watching recently an interview with Dr. Mercola, Joe Mercola, and another guy. Can't remember the other guy's name, but they were talking about MSM. Fascinating. It was so fascinating. I wanted to pull more of that material in for this talk, but I wasn't able to do that. So MSM and DMSO are very chemically similar, and I'll show you a chemical structure, the chemical structure of them in just a minute, a picture of it, but you can see the structure here. MSM actually, the only difference is it has an extra oxygen molecule, and both of these are very high in sulfur. MSM is in a granular, it's sometimes a white powder form. And both of these are very good to help the body with detoxification. And if you remember last night when we talked about phase 2 of liver detoxification, one of those pathways in phase 2 is called sulfation. And you have to have sulfur for that to work, okay? Let's look at the life cycle of sulfur in the environment. Okay, this is very interesting. Algae converts inorganic sulfur into an organic molecule, which is called dimethyl sulfide. Dimethyl sulfide then is released into the upper atmosphere in the ozone layer, and then UV light hits that and catalyzes the formation of DMSO up in the environment, dimethyl sulfoxide, and then it reduces or it converts into MSM, which is methyl sulfonyl methane. And then the MSM falls to the earth, dissolved in rainwater, and that gives our plants sulfur that they need. Okay, here is the chemical structure. You can see MSM has that extra oxygen. Down here on the bottom, you see the extra oxygen with a double bond. That's the difference. That's the only difference between MSM and DMSO. The big difference, clinically speaking, is that DMSO is better for topical use. You can't really use MSM topically. It's better for internal use. So that's the way around the stinky, garlicky smell with the DMSO being taken internally. You can use MSM instead and still get a lot of the same medicinal benefit. Okay, when you use DMSO topically, well, I'll just wait for that because I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about a few of the benefits of MSM first. It's similar again to the benefits of DMSO. If you take it with vitamin C, it's very good to stimulate collagen repair and production. So if you have somebody that's bone on bone or something, or has torn cartilage or whatever, this is very good to take together. It helps to pull out heavy metals. It helps to heal a leaky gut by tightening up those gut junctions. And we talked about the leaky gut earlier today. It's vital for the production of glutathione, which is our master antioxidant. If you've ever taken glutathione, you know it stinks like rotten eggs or something. That's the sulfur in here, and MSM helps the body to make that. You can also use it as an adjunct with a parasite detox. It's very beneficial for pain relief. It's a good anti-inflammatory. It aids in the relief of constipation, again, especially if combined with vitamin C. It helps to prevent sunburn. So you don't have to take those toxic sunscreens. Take some MSM internally. Yeah, the MSM is much easier to take internally because you don't have the stinky smell. Yes, sir. You can either get it as a powder or crystal and mix it in water. It's a little bitter to drink, or you can just take capsules, which is what we have on our store. And I do have some of those. I'll have them available tomorrow. And finally, it helps to calm histamine reactions and allergies. Okay, let's look at DMSO. How can I administer DMSO? I can use DMSO in an IV. It's that safe. And I have actually had it IV before. You can use it topically to carry other medications into the body or supplements. You can take it by mouth, orally, just dilute it in some water. What I've done is taken a half to maybe a teaspoon in like 8 ounces of water and drink it. Again, it's bitter. And then you're going to have to sleep outside. So, what's that? And you can use it in your eyes. You just have to dilute it down to about 20%. Okay, we'll talk about dilution in just a minute. And then we talked about injecting it directly into the bladder for interstitial cystitis. That's intravesical. And then you can actually have it also as a shot, IM. But according to Dr. Roy Richards, who wrote a book on DMSO, taking it in an IV is no more effective or faster than using it topically. So that's pretty phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. Here's another quote by Dr. Roy. Maybe my reader can help me with this one. My reader's gone to sleep.
No, I was looking at it. A study performed by the Emory University School of Medicine concluded that DMSO was a more powerful painkiller compared to morphine, and that the pain-killing effects of DMSO lasted up to 7 hours, more than 3 times longer than morphine's 2-hour relief. DMSO precautions are few and typically minor, not so with morphine.
Most of the patients that I've ever seen that were on hospice were put on morphine, and most of them died from morphine overdose. Okay. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother, has had severe back injuries. And for how many years has he been taking? 20 plus years. They've had him on, what's that stuff? Was it OxyContin? He was on morphine and OxyContin. Yep, 20 plus years. Recently, I handed him a jar with 80% DMSO and 20% distilled water, and I put a little bit of copaiba essential oil. I'll talk about that in a minute. I handed that to him, and I said, let's put this on your back. So my mother-in-law took him in the bathroom, scrubbed his back off with a washcloth. I told her, make sure his skin is clean. Put that on his back, and he could not believe how much pain relief. He went to the doctor. He argued with the doctor and told him, this is providing me pain relief like I've never had before. The doctor said, you got to be careful with that stuff. Now, that stuff's expensive, and it's going to hurt you. And my brother-in-law said, it cost me nothing, and it hasn't hurt me yet. It's relieved my pain. 20 plus years on morphine. And he's using DMSO once a day and getting relief. Well, right now, what he's using is DMSO, 80% DMSO, 20% distilled water. And then we mixed it in a jar, about a pint-sized jar. And I put about 1.5 cups of DMSO and the rest distilled water. And into that, I put about 20 drops of copaiba essential oil. You don't have to use the copaiba, but I'll go ahead and tell you now. I have a slide on it. But copaiba, a lot of people like to mix CBD with DMSO, but the copaiba essential oil uses the same endocannabinoid system in the body so that it gives the same pain relief as the CBD, but you don't have to worry about the effects of the THC and all that stuff. So it would work for him without the copaiba. I'm convinced that it would work without it, and he's going to try it. But 20 plus years of severe pain and dysfunction, and now with just one daily application of DMSO, the man can function. And he's out mowing again, huh? He's very happy. Yeah. I mean, morphine for 20 years would depress anybody. Okay, Dr. Stanley Jacobs, again, is the person that kind of popularized DMSO back in the 60s, and he was a proponent of the safe use of DMSO, just trying to let people know how safe it was. And people came to him again from all over. And Dr. I think this was in Roy Richard's book, I'm not sure, but Richard Broben conducted a human study in 1967 and 68, and he concluded that after exposing the test group to 30 times the recommended daily dose of DMSO, which is equivalent of about a half a cup of DMSO per day for 90 days, there were no adverse reactions. Half a cup of DMSO for 90 days. Mm-hmm. Oh, you have to dilute it. Yeah. So, oh, I'm sure. They probably smelled like an oyster factory. Okay, here's a few uses of DMSO in the next couple of slides if my reader wants to go through that.
Fever blisters and shingles, cuts and burns, pain relief, not by masking, though does help block pain signals, aids in healing as well. Interstitial cystitis, treatment of choice, scar tissue and more. It is powerful and gentle healer. Brain health and strokes, diuretic properties.
Let me interject this before she reads the next slide. I had a lady, I have a DMSO video on our YouTube channel, and it's got thousands, tens of thousands of views. And one lady commented on there that her father had a stroke, and they called the ambulance, but before the ambulance got there, he was still coherent and able to swallow safely and everything. She gave him this half a cup of DMSO, and he survived that stroke with no injury. What's that? Yeah, she didn't say. It was a comment on my YouTube video. She didn't say. So, all right, here's the next one.
Blocks nerve conduction, causing pain, thus relieves nerve pain, reduces inflammation, very powerful, improves blood supply to wounded area, vasodilation, stimulates healing, anti-aging, prevents wrinkling, strengthens connective tissues, kills bacterial, virus, fungus, candida, including vaginal candida and BV, antioxidant, free radical scavenger. Chelates heavy metals, aluminum, what is that, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, and nickel, eliminates via urine and sweat, crosses the blood-brain barrier, so aids brain detox, potentiates other herbs or medications, must use caution, a muscle relaxant, radioprotective, especially when combined with vitamin C, increases platelet production, dissolves clotting, and said to reverse tinnitus.
Tinnitus. That radioprotective, like when you have x-rays and stuff, or when you take a flight and you have to go through the thingy, you get a little bit of radiation, and when you take a little bit of DMSO, it can protect from damage from that. And it talks internally, yes. Let me share one thing on this vitamin C here. I was watching a video on YouTube one time. I'm a big proponent of high-dose vitamin C. And I was watching this video about Fukushima. You remember the meltdown in Fukushima? And it was these Japanese scientists, and they were saying that all of the workers who took high-dose vitamin C had no ill effects from working around all that radiation. So vitamin C can mitigate this damage from radioactive materials. That might be important one day. Yes, sir.
I hear the one said that it can, about clogging. Yeah, that it could dissolve clots. How do you do that? I mean, how do you do that?
I would do the 80-20 and drink it.
Topically?
Okay, the question was, how do you use it to prevent clotting? And I would dilute it 80% DMSO, 20% distilled water, and I would probably put or what you could do actually, instead of having to dilute it, the way that I have taken it internally before, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is a half to 1 teaspoon in about 8 ounces of water, and just drink it, distilled water. I use distilled water because I don't know what else is in other water, but I know there's nothing in distilled water but water. So.
Well, DMSO, what if you have somebody you don't know what strength it is?
Okay. If you buy it, like new, like this big jug here that she bought, that's 99.9% DMSO, pure. So if you take a half to 1 teaspoon of that and put in it about 8 ounces of water, you don't have to worry about percentages. That should be enough. And I wouldn't do that more than once a day. Yeah. And that you should be fine with that. Yes, ma'am.
So if I want to, to put it on my skin, like with a lotion or something, how long is that shelf life? Does it last for a while, or do you have to use it right away?
They say that DMSO is shelf stable for about 2 years, but I'll tell you this. If you keep the lid on it and you keep it in a cool, dark place, I've got DMSO that I've had for 5 years and it's still fully functional. And I'll talk in just a little bit about how to test for how much, basically what percentage of DMSO you have and what percentage of water. Because if you leave the lid off of this, it's going to absorb water from the environment and whatever else is in the environment into that DMSO. Okay, and you're going to not have pure DMSO anymore. We'll talk about that again.
I have a question. She asked about mixing the DMSO with lotion. Are there some lotions that we wouldn't want to mix it with because?
Correct. Yeah, if you're using a lotion that is totally, like I make my own stuff and I could eat it, I could literally eat my lotion, it's that safe, that would be okay. And you could actually put DMSO in the lotion. And some people do that. You can buy it as a gel. She's got some that's a gel, DMSO gel. So. Yeah, that stuff is full of chemicals.
So she said if you're using an over-the-counter lotion, it's going to not.
Right. Let's all agree not to use over-the-counter lotions. Okay? Okay, and here's the slide that talks about the CBD. I already told you about that. So the reason you have to dilute the DMSO when you put it on your skin is because it's a water-hungry molecule, and if you put it on your skin straight, it's going to make you look like an Indian that's been out in the sun for 20 years. It's going to turn your skin to leather, okay? It's not permanent. That will reverse, but what it's doing is it's pulling all the moisture out of your skin. So that's why we want to go ahead and dilute it down a little bit. That, and so it's not quite so strong. Yes.
Wait. When I use it on my scalp, I do it right after I've washed my hair.
Okay.
So, and I've never diluted my DMSO when I use it. So it is, I'm assuming that's because my hair is wet that I'm not, because I have not had that reaction.
Well, you're also using the gel, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's already kind of diluted.
Well, it says the 99.9 on the outside.
It is.
Yeah.
The DMSO that's in there is 99.9, but DMSO is not naturally in a gel form, so there's something else in it that's diluting the DMSO, so you're not having that kind of reaction.
Okay,
now, I can put DMSO straight on my skin and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
it bothers my husband.
I've used it with
It burns.
copiaba for neck pain and so forth, and
Yeah. Okay. All right. So again, that's why we dilute it. You can dilute DMSO with castor oil, with colloidal silver, with distilled water. You can put a little bit of oil on your skin to help with the burning effect. It's very, very safe. You can also dilute it here. It says with aloe vera, and that's a really good medicine right there. So here's some dilution rates. If you want, you can put 90% DMSO and 10% water, 70% DMSO, 30% water. These are popular dilution rates. 50-50. For the eyes, you must dilute it down to it. I don't like to use it any stronger than 20% DMSO in the eyes.
What are you using it in your eyes for?
Okay, what am I using it in the eyes for? Some people say that it helps with cataracts. Okay, some people say that it helps with other vision issues. That's Dr. Joe Mercola's territory. If you want to look at his videos, he has a lot of information about that. I used it for a while in my eyes, but I'm already doing so much stuff that it was kind of like treatment fatigue. I just got tired of doing it. So.
That gel DMSO contains, according to Google,
Wait, microphone, wait a minute.
Just so you know, I just Googled it, Mr. Google, said that the DMSO gel ingredients is anywhere from 70 to 90% DMSO by volume, with the remainder made up of gelling agents and natural moisturizers.
Okay. Good to know. Don't put DMSO in any kind of PVC or ceramic container. It will melt PVC. We're going to show you something here in just a minute. The only plastics that I know of that are safe for DMSO are HDPE and PET plastics. And I think the one that you get at the feed store is in HDPE plastic. And I had a container. I brought an empty container because I was going to show it. And then Glory told me that she had some, so I just threw my container away. So typically they say that diluted like that, it'll last 2 to 3 years. But again, I've got some that's still good, and I've had it at least that long. So here's how you test the purity of your DMSO. It has a very low freezing point, a very high freezing point, 65.3, around 65 degrees. So if you place your bottle in the fridge and it freezes in 15 minutes or less, then you have at least 95 to 100% pure DMSO. If it freezes, but there's a little water on top, then depending on how much water you have on the top, you can judge your purity by that. It's probably going to be about 90%, depending on, like if you put this in the freezer and it had a 1/4 inch, then you've probably got at least 90% pure DMSO. So here's some cautions. We talked about the skin sensitivity. DMSO will not harm internal organs in proper doses, okay? And I have to say in proper doses. But you remember that the transplant organs are shipped in DMSO. That's pretty safe. That's pretty safe. Okay. And on the next slide, I'm going to have my reader read the next slide. But it enhances medications and supplements. So you have to remember, be careful with what you take it. Make sure your skin is clean. Wash your hands, wash the site that you're going to put it on. Make sure that it's clean. Because if you just sweat a whole bunch of toxins out mowing the grass and you pulled your back and you're like, oh, give me some DMSO, and you rub that on, you're just pushing those toxins that you just sweat out right back in for your body to have to deal with again. So clean your skin. Now, pregnancy and nursing, if I was pregnant or nursing, I'd probably use it, but I didn't say that, okay? There's not enough studies on it. So again, when you dilute it, it will produce heat. So you need to make sure that it's cooled before you apply it. Okay, let me let my reader read this. Bullet 2 here, will not harm internal organs in proper doses. Next slide is here.
Repeating, Richard Broben conducted human trials in 1967 to 1968. After exposing his test group to 30 times the recommended quantities, which is approximately a half a cup of DMSO per day for 90 days, reported no adverse reactions. Recommended quantity is about 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. That said, there may be folks who have truly allergic reactions. Since sulfur is a vital element, it's likely an allergy to sulfur compounds, whatever is combined with it.
Okay, because remember, one of our detox pathways is called sulfation, and we have to have that pathway in order to detox certain toxins. So it's important there. So no, because again, you're allergic to the compound. It's not the sulfur.
So the question was, being allergic to sulfur drugs, would that create a problem? And the answer is no.
Correct. Now there's biological individuality. Everybody's different. Maybe somebody does. But in all of the research that I've read, all of the tests that have been done with people, it has not been a problem. Okay. Dr. Roy Richards, that wrote one of the books that I mentioned earlier, he's a proponent of DMSO. He's used it for over 30 years on a daily basis. And he says, when you take it and you have that smell, it's because your body is detoxing and getting rid of stuff. So he said, once your body is clean, the odor when you take it goes away. I haven't used it long enough to experience that because I have to sleep outside when I do use it. So I like sleeping outside, actually. So key takeaways: use the proper dilution, make sure your skin is clean, test a small area for sensitivity first, use the pure pharmaceutical grade, 99.9. Did you get this off eBay? Okay, they sell on eBay as well. It's called the DMSO store. And that's probably in glass, the cheapest place I've seen is on that DMSO store. And again, there's biochemical individuality, everybody's different. So where's my reader? We'll read this in closing.
The importance of lifestyle factors in conjunction with DMSO therapy cannot be underestimated. A holistic approach that includes a balanced diet, regular exercise, adequate hydration, and stress management techniques can amplify the positive effects of DMSO. Nutritional support, in particular, provides the foundational building blocks for the body's healing processes, and ensuring an intake rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants can support the systematic benefits of DMSO therapy.
Okay, so it's not a magic bullet. It's a component of a healthy lifestyle, okay? So we don't believe in magic bullets. Thiamine is not a magic bullet. DMSO is not a magic bullet, but they are components to a healthy lifestyle. And I think that they're components that are underutilized and undereducated. People are undereducated on them. And so hopefully this has been beneficial to you. That concludes this presentation. And if there's any questions, we can take a few minutes for that. Tomorrow, my husband first is going to do a presentation called Excitotoxins, the Taste That Kills. And then after that, I'm going to talk about parasites, which is my absolute favorite talk to do. Yes, ma'am. What's that? 10. Starts at 10 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
So you were going to tell us about the one that looks yellow.
I think I just made it. Laura, you? Yeah. Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Okay, so this jar is DMSO that I had poured from the 99.9%. This is pure. I got this from the DMSO store. And I poured it in here thinking that it would be okay, but it turns out that it ate some of this, like the plastic around the lid. So it's contaminated because whatever this is in there now. So, right, boo. It's a lot of money. It's cost me a lot of money.
So what was the lid on the big jar? So what kind of lid is on the big jar there?
It's the plastic that Dana said.
It's either HDPE or PE. It's either HDPE or PET plastic, because those are the only two plastics that I know of that are safe to use. Gloria, you want to go ahead and let's pour some up, and maybe we can let people try. Let's just mix a small amount. Kalon, you have the distilled water. This jar right here, that's a huge amount of DMSO. That's probably at least 80 or 90 bucks. Yeah.
He asked me how much it is, and I don't remember prices. So I said, I don't know, 100 bucks. I knew that I spent a lot of money for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's at least 80 or 90 bucks, and it may be 100. So let's mix about maybe a half a cup. Half a cup. Let's just mix a small amount. Yeah, half a cup.
This is one of the reasons I just want to say, one of the reasons that I've kind of been discouraged with not knowing what to do with this is because, like she said, put a tablespoon in a cup of water each day. How am I going to, a teaspoon in a cup of water each day? How am I pour that out gently without getting it all over the place? So it's like, what can I store this in to make it easier to get? And can I use a metal spoon?
That's a good question. I don't remember about the metal spoon. I don't think you're supposed to use metal spoons with it.
Or plastic?
Yeah, unless it's HDPE or PET.
Wooden?
Yeah, I think you could use wooden. Okay, so she's got about a half a cup there, and we'll put.
According to this DMSO store says $150.
$150. That's probably what I spent.
Well, they went a lot. I bought one of those too, and it was not that much.
How long ago?
2 years.
Yeah, mine was just less than a year.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we got about a half a cup of DMSO. So that's going to be 80%, and then we'll just add a little bit of water to make roughly 20%. Just guess. It ain't rocket science.
It's 80% water.
No, 80% DMSO, 20% water. Yeah, just a little bit of water because it's a water-hungry molecule, and you don't want it. Okay, you see how it kind of, yeah.
What's that?
Now feel the jar. You feel, it should feel warm.
It is warm. It's warm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's warm. Yeah.
All right. Anybody want to go wash their hands and try it? Does anybody have a boo-boo that a painful joint or something? Okay. He wants to put it on his shoulder. Okay. You can do either with this, but this is specifically for topical use. So if anybody wants to try it, go wash the area that you want to try, rinse it well, dry it, and come back and let's try it. Yes, wash the place where you want to apply it, as well as your hands, because we're going to pour a little bit in your hand and let you put it on. Yes, but rinse well. Rinse well. You don't want any soap residue.
It's a good price, right?
Yeah.
Lori,
Yes.
can we cut the live stream? I mean,
You can now. I guess the reason that I wanted to keep the live stream on is because for me, one second, for me, when I've listened to Dana talk and give these talk about this before, this is something that I wish I would have been able to see. And so there are some people who may want to see this and they would watch through it. Come back at 10? Yeah, she said that. Come back at 10 tomorrow. And the topics are excitotoxins and parasite cleanse. Right. He's saying it.